Their laughter echoed at the sight of the black lunch lady, but it quickly turned to silence when she accomplished what no one else could. Within the bustling kitchen of a renowned university, amidst the sounds of bubbling pots and soft conversations, an older black woman in a crisp white apron glides gracefully, methodically wiping down tables as she does each day. Her name remains a mystery to all. Her presence goes unnoticed by everyone around her. However, when a collective of professors grapples with an equation that has remained unsolved for years, she attentively listens, contemplates, and boldly voices her thoughts, only to be met with a dismissive smirk that silences her. Your role is in the kitchen. Remain in that position. Unbeknownst to them, this woman had once reached the pinnacle of the academic realm. With merely 5 lines on a whiteboard, she was poised to disrupt the very foundation of the university. At times, the most insightful individual in the room is the one who remains unasked. Before we embark on this compelling narrative, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. This enables us to continue amplifying voices that merit attention. We would greatly appreciate your thoughts once the story concludes. Please provide your rating on a scale from 0 to 10 in the comments section. Your insights contribute significantly to enhancing each narrative we create. Delight in the narrative. The constant hum of refrigerators, the clattering of metal trays, and the aroma of scrambled eggs paired with overcooked bacon permeated the atmosphere. At 7:14 a.m., Miss Evelyn meticulously adjusted her white hairnet, inhaled deeply, and braced herself for yet another day of remaining unseen. For almost a decade, she dedicated herself to the role, meticulously washing dishes, replenishing the coffee station, and greeting patrons with warm, courteous smiles, even when students failed to return them. Professors passed by her as though she were merely another fixture of the cafeteria. Similar to the aged coffee machine nestled in the corner, perpetually operational yet consistently overlooked. However, Miss Evelyn observed attentively. She consistently observed. The university stood as one of the most esteemed institutions on the East Coast. An Ivy League establishment adorned with modernist paintings and a campus that resembled a fusion of a cinematic backdrop and an architectural showcase. Yet, on that seemingly mundane morning, amidst the cold waffles and lukewarm coffee, Evelyn caught a sound that sent her heartbeat racing. It lacks coherence. The algorithm encounters a failure during the 3rd cycle. Despite the implementation of logarithmic compensation, a voice remarked from the distant corner. The table belonged to the math department. They consistently engaged in discussions about formulas, much like others might converse about sports or politics. Did you consider the entropic growth shift? Another voice interjected. A woman's, sharp and confident. I thoroughly reviewed the data last night. The issue at hand is not of a technical nature, but rather structural in essence. Evelyn inched closer, feigning an effort to arrange a few cups. Her gaze flickered momentarily to the page adorned with intricate equations. The words, the terms, the language, it was familiar to her. Indeed, it was an integral aspect of her identity. Or more accurately, her former self. She took a brief moment to reflect and quietly murmured to herself. If the matrix is degenerate, why not simply invert the vector in R4? Unbeknownst to her, one of the professors had overheard her. He arched an eyebrow. Excuse me, did you happen to say something? She paused, glanced at him, and then directed her gaze downward. I apologize for expressing my thoughts so openly. With a smirk, he replied, interesting. It seems we have a linear algebra expert in the kitchen now. The others laughed, not with malice, but as one might at something utterly absurd. Miss Evelyn offered a fleeting smile, bowed her head slightly, and gracefully departed. Yet, within her, a subtle awakening had begun. That afternoon, the sun enveloped the campus in a gentle golden glow. The cafeteria had emptied, yet the math professor remained. With laptops aglow, books piled high, and voices rising in intensity, Miss Evelyn diligently wiped down a tray that had been carelessly abandoned, all the while keeping her ears attuned to the surrounding chatter. After 3 days of effort, we find ourselves at a standstill, remarked the gray-bearded professor. This equation has been examined by esteemed institutions such as Princeton, Berkeley, and MIT, yet a consistent solution remains elusive. What should we do now? Consider giving up? Just another attractive formula faded for the discard pile of theory, he muttered, taking off his glasses in exasperation. Evelyn halted abruptly, her motion suspended in the act of wiping. Her gaze fell upon the notebook that one of them was diligently writing in. She was well acquainted with the structure, the logic, and the rhythm. She spoke without a moment's hesitation. "I apologize for the interruption. But have you considered adjusting the second-order limit parameters? It is possible that you are perceiving an error that is not actually present." A profound silence enveloped the room as 4 pairs of eyes fixated on her. A younger professor, exuding an air of arrogance with his university ID clipped to the pocket of his blazer, regarded her as if she had just made an inappropriate remark at a royal banquet. "I apologize. Could you please repeat what you just said?" "The parameters," she reiterated, her voice tinged with a hint of timidity. "The error could lie in the assumption regarding the entry vector. By reframing the limit cycle, one might encounter a beat followed by a scoff." "Well," he said, crossing his arms, "it appears we have a new addition to the math department. Do you find time to solve equations during your mopping shifts?" A series of polite chuckles ensued, subtle yet piercing enough to break the silence. Evelyn's smile was barely maintained. "Apologies, sir." She pivoted and made her way back to the counter. However, on this occasion, she chose not to simply walk away. She gripped the dish towel in her hand with such intensity that her knuckles turned pale. What transpired was not merely embarrassment, it was a resurgence of wounded pride finally coming to life. The aging shower in her apartment produced more sound than actual water flow. The pipes emitted a low groan from behind the worn bathroom walls while Miss Evelyn sat in her modest kitchen, the apron neatly folded across her lap. The overhead light flickered briefly before stabilizing. She positioned herself at a simple wooden table, where a single item lay before her, a well-worn spiral-bound notebook. On the cover, a weathered sticker still displayed, MIT Class of '84. With deliberate care, she opened it, as if revisiting a hidden part of her being. The pages featured meticulously handwritten formulas, exhibiting clarity and precision. Diagrams represent a form of mathematics that transcends mere learning. They become an intrinsic part of your understanding. In those days, this was the language she spoke. It extended beyond merely addressing challenges. It involved sensing their presence, attuning to the cadence of a disrupted pattern, and possessing the insight to restore it effectively. All of it now rested quietly on this aged paper. Awaiting its moment, she gently closed her eyes. The most recent occasion she held that notebook was in a hospital, where she sat next to her mother, who was peacefully resting in a wheelchair. Evelyn attempted to solve equations in an effort to drown out the persistent beeping of the heart monitor. Her mother experienced a swift deterioration due to Alzheimer's disease. Evelyn did not complete her PhD and chose not to return to MIT. She returned home to provide care for her, secured employment, starting with a position at a grocery store, followed by a role in a public school. Ultimately, the phrase about the university kitchen, "You work in the kitchen. Stay there," continued to resonate in her thoughts. However, on this occasion, Evelyn remained composed. She flipped to the final page of the notebook and began to write, not out of anger or desperation, but with clarity and love, channeling the same brilliance that had once garnered her standing ovations in crowded lecture halls. The equation came back to her vividly. Not precisely, but sufficiently close. She had encountered it previously, lurking in the shadows of another issue. One line followed by another. Her hand remained steady, her heart resolute. In the dimly lit kitchen of that neglected apartment, Evelyn wore a gentle smile, lost in her own thoughts. "There it is," she whispered, "it had always been there." The campus remained tranquil and undisturbed as Evelyn ventured outside. The sky displayed a deep navy blue hue, with the first light gently caressing the treetops. She strolled leisurely across the deserted quad. No one noticed her presence. She had no cleaning supplies with her, only her notebook. She made her way into the math building via the side entrance. The hall was enveloped in a profound silence, one that carried a sense of reverence. Room 2C was expected to be vacant, and she was aware of that fact. A pristine whiteboard stood at the front, accompanied by markers neatly arranged on the ledge. She flipped open the notebook, retrieved the blue marker, and paused to gaze at the board for a moment before lifting her hand. Without any doubt, line 1, framework. Line 2, variable adjustment. Line 3, vector inversion. Line 4, Entropy correction. Solution for line 5. Concise and refined. 5 lines embodying simplicity and grace. Upon completing her task, Evelyn gazed at the board, feeling not a sense of pride, but a profound sense of peace. No further words were necessary. She secured the cap on the marker, tucked the notebook under her arm, and exited the room with a quiet grace. The sun was just starting to ascend above the tower clock. No one realized that a woman, unseen by them, had just accomplished what the greatest intellects could not. Professor Daniel Trent's footsteps reverberated through the hallway as he opened the door to room 2C. Coffee in hand, bracing himself for yet another unproductive morning. However, what he witnessed caused him to come to a complete standstill. On the board, 5 lines of mathematics were displayed. Refined, meticulous, unattainable. He blinked and took a step closer. His coffee cup tilted in his hand as he murmured, "No way." In just a matter of minutes, he was engaged in a phone call. Following that, Dr. Kim arrived, succeeded by Dr. Maria Reyes, along with 2 teaching assistants. In no time, 6 individuals gathered closely, their eyes fixed on the board as they engaged in hushed discussions and spirited debates. This is not merely a guess, it is a stroke of brilliance. However, none of us authored this. Who on earth did that? This has the potential to be published. A photograph was captured and shared online. The Newton-Hayes equation has been solved. Yet the identity of the solver remains a mystery. The tweet gained widespread attention within minutes. Speculations have emerged. Could it have been a visiting scholar? An artificial intelligence? Or perhaps a prank? Upon returning to campus, the pressure began to intensify. Who was present in room 2C that morning? The hallway security footage was retrieved and fast-forwarded to the early dawn hours. Entering the building with a composed demeanor was a petite woman clad in a white uniform, her hair neatly secured in a hairnet, and a notebook cradled in her arms. Miss Evelyn. A hush enveloped the department office. "You must be joking," Harris remarked. "That's the cafeteria worker," Morales whispered. "This cannot possibly be real." Yet, it stood out unmistakably. The woman they encountered each morning, the one who served their coffee and tidied their tables, had just outwitted them all. By the following morning, her name had transformed from a mere whisper into something much more significant. The question reverberated through every hallway, every chat group, and every email thread across campus. Who is Miss Evelyn? Students began discreetly placing notes on the cafeteria counter. Were you the individual who resolved it? We seek your guidance. Is that accurate? She maintained a low profile and focused on her responsibilities. However, the gazes trailed her relentlessly. Respectful, inquisitive, with a hint of remorse. Professor Harris was unable to move past it. He meticulously sifted through historical academic archives, in pursuit of Evelyn Booker. There she stood, Evelyn Louise Booker, a proud member of the MIT class of 1984. Graduated with the highest honors. A young math prodigy, featured in prestigious journals, invited to speak at global conferences, and then vanished. Following 1987, there was a notable absence of developments. She had disappeared from the academic realm as if she were a specter. A group of black students congregated in the cafeteria, huddled around a phone. One of them pointed to a magazine cover from decades past and said, "That's her. She possessed extraordinary intellect. Yet they orchestrated her vanishing. Perhaps she chose to vanish on her own. But what could have motivated such a decision? The university needed to be informed. Dr. Maria Reyes has requested a private meeting." Evelyn declined it once, and then again. After 2 attempts, she ultimately consented, but only with one stipulation. There will be no cameras, no press, and no inquiries regarding the equation, simply pay attention. Their agreement was reached. Her words would alter the course of everything. The office was compact, serene, and carried a subtle aroma of aged coffee mingled with fresh paint. Evelyn positioned herself opposite Professors Harris, Morales, and Kim. Her spiral notebook lay on the table, a sealed memory waiting to be uncovered. She remained composed, showing no signs of discomfort or restlessness. She regarded them with a serene composure. "You want to know who I am," she said, her voice steady. "I will share the details with you. But do not anticipate a dramatic tragedy." At times, pain remained silent, patiently lingering in the background. The room remained quiet. "Evelyn Louise Booker is my name. I completed my studies at MIT in 1984, achieving the distinction of being at the top of my class. By the age of 19, I had achieved publication, received invitations to conferences, and was recognized as a contributor to the future of mathematical theory. She took a moment to pause. That same year, my mother received a diagnosis of advanced Alzheimer's, marking a significant change in our lives. With my father gone, I found myself as the sole survivor. I faced a decision: pursue formulas or prioritize family. In my perspective, family takes precedence. Professor Morales cast her gaze downward, her lips pressed firmly together. The university made efforts to retain me by providing grants and support. Alzheimer's is relentless, it disregards convenience, consuming time and erasing memories without mercy. Her voice wavered, just a touch. For 7 years, I devoted myself to caring for my mother, witnessing her gradual loss of recognition for my name and my face. In time, she lost the ability to articulate her thoughts, leaving me in yet another prolonged silence. After her passing, I chose not to return. The academic landscape had evolved. My position was lost, my identity obliterated. She gazed at them directly now, with strength and clarity. Math was never something I departed from, rather, it has always remained with me. I had to step away, all for the sake of love. Aaliyah Thompson took a deep breath. Dr. Maria Reyes appeared visibly shaken, leaving even Harris at a loss for words. In that serene office, the academic elite finally recognized Evelyn, not merely as a worker or an enigma, but as a woman who had devoted herself entirely to a cause far beyond personal acclaim. The following morning, she entered the cafeteria at precisely 7:03 a.m. As was her routine, however, there was an unmistakable change. The room was enveloped in silence. Students rose to their feet. Staff members joined in, professors followed suit, and then a resounding wave of applause erupted. Initially gradual, then powerful, candid and unreserved. Without obligation, Evelyn halted. The gazes that had once been indifferent now transformed into expressions of awe, regret, and gratitude. A young black woman with long braids approached gently and said, "Miss Evelyn, you don't need to serve anyone today, we are here to serve you." "Thank you." Evelyn offered a gentle smile, tinged with tears. In the afternoon, the university president delivered a public announcement. A scholarship will be established in honor of Evelyn, named the Evelyn Booker Fellowship for Hidden Excellence. In a surprising turn of events, Evelyn received an invitation to deliver a guest lecture. Initially, she declined. After the third request, she agreed, but with one stipulation: "I won't delve into formulas, there are many experts available for that discussion. I will discuss the often overlooked skill of truly listening to those around us." The main auditorium of the university was filled to capacity. The seats were occupied by students, while faculty members positioned themselves along the walls. Even custodial staff and cafeteria employees were present, with some experiencing those velvet chairs for the very first time. The lights faded, and Evelyn made her entrance onto the stage, moving slowly and with grace. In the absence of spotlight and music, a woman stands quietly, adorned in a dark blue dress, cradling an old spiral notebook against her chest. She approached the podium, pausing for a moment to gaze at the audience. "Good afternoon," she commenced. "Evelyn Louise Booker is my name. I have had the pleasure of serving coffee to many of you, maintaining the cleanliness of your tables, and observing your laughter, even as you sometimes overlook my presence." A soft murmur spread among the crowd, yet her tone remained untainted by bitterness. The atmosphere was sincere, serene, and concentrated. For an extended period, I believed that my narrative had reached its conclusion. The mathematics I thought I had moved on from, in reality, has always remained with me. It resides in this very location. She rested her hand gently over her heart. Your laughter and the suggestion to remain in the kitchen were not new experiences for me. This certainly won't be the final instance of someone underestimating a black woman. The statement resonated powerfully, illuminating the situation with a sense of clarity rather than anger. What you may not grasp is that brilliance does not conform to a standard appearance. There is no title included. It isn't always noisy. Occasionally, it is the individual you least expect to approach. She opened the notebook and turned to the last page. The 5 lines you observed are not merely about numbers. Respect is at the core of their values. They represent the moment when an individual, long overlooked, finally finds their voice. She then closed it gently. I am not here to serve as a symbol or a token. Allow me to emphasize that knowledge devoid of humility amounts to mere ego. A prolonged silence ensued, followed by her concluding remarks. You may notice me now. But how many Evelyns do you pass by each day without a second glance? The whole room rose to its feet. They were not instructed to do so. No one was obligated to. Resounding applause. Several individuals were moved to tears. Others lowered their heads. In that moment, the university truly listened to her. They sensed her presence. The cafeteria appeared transformed that morning. The walls were freshly painted. New plants have been positioned in the corners. Framed photographs of staff and students adorned the walls alongside academic accolades. And in the center of it all, a portrait of a young Evelyn holding her MIT medal. In elegant gold lettering, it reads, "Knowledge is knowing. Wisdom is listening. Evelyn L. Booker." She navigated the space with a serene grace, neither hurrying nor conforming. Her name tag now displayed the title, Visiting Professor, Advanced Mathematics. Nevertheless, she opted to wear the white kitchen shirt. It offers a sense of comfort, she shared with others, and serves as a reminder of my roots. A nervous freshman approached her at the coffee station. She was a young black woman with glasses and tight curls. Clutching a notebook, "Miss Evelyn," she said, her voice trembling, "I had the opportunity to view your speech. I have composed a theory, but I am uncertain about its coherence." Evelyn smiled as she gently opened the notebook. Mathematical expressions, sketches, concepts in development. She nodded and tapped the top of the page, indicating where it read, "Page 1. Evelyn pointed out this right here. This number holds significant importance. The initial step, the moment you summoned the courage to put pen to paper. Everything else will follow in due time." The girl let out a breath, her relief evident. Evelyn carefully closed the notebook. "At times," she remarked, "it is essential to clear the table to gain a fresh perspective on the issue at hand." They exchanged smiles, and life, in its quiet and beautiful manner, continued to progress. If you resonate with narratives that motivate and provoke thought, while amplifying the voices of the overlooked, please click the subscribe button below. Exciting and transformative journeys are on the horizon, and we would be thrilled to have you join us.